I was 22, fresh out of a cramped dorm at UC Berkeley, chasing some half-baked dream of becoming a writer in the sun-drenched chaos of Seville. My parents had shipped me off to Spain for the summer, figuring the distance would cure my restlessness, code for the quiet rebellion brewing since I'd come out to them 2 years prior. They weren't cruel about it, not like the stories you hear back home in Ohio, where rainbows still spark debates at Thanksgiving. No, they loved me in that polite Protestant way. Smiles strained at the edges, questions about when you'll meet a nice boy. So exile to Aunt Elena's felt like a compromise. Family oversight wrapped in olive groves and flamenco echoes. Aunt Elena was the black sheep who'd made good. A divorcee in her late 50s, running a boutique guest house in the Triana neighborhood, where the Guadalquivir River whispered secrets to the bridges. She'd left Cincinnati decades ago for a painter husband who vanished like smoke, leaving her with a villa, a vineyard plot, and a worldview as layered as gazpacho. She was the one who'd taught me to swear in Spanish as a kid, sneaking me sangria at family barbecues. "Life's too short for small glasses, Marley," she'd say, her voice like gravel wrapped in velvet. I idolized her freedom, even if it came laced with loneliness. Valeria crashed into my life on my third day. When I was sketching the Feria de Abril posters peeling from lampposts, vibrant splashes of polka dots and ruffles that made my fingers itch for color. She was hauling crates of oranges from a market stall, her dark hair escaping a ponytail like rebellious vines, sweat beading on her collarbone. 24, born and raised in Seville, she waitressed at a tapas bar by night and studied graphic design by day, her sketches fierce and unapologetic. Our eyes met over a spilled crate, mine wide with apology as I helped gather the fruit, hers crinkling with that effortless Spanish warmth. "Cuidado, Americana," she teased, her accent curling around the words like smoke. "These oranges bite back." We fell into rhythm fast, lazy afternoons wandering the Alcazar gardens, where peacocks strutted like forgotten courtiers, and evenings on her tiny balcony overlooking the river, sharing cigarettes and stories. She spoke of her abuelita's ghost haunting the family finca, of a brother lost to drugs in Madrid, her voice cracking on the edges of grief. I confessed my parents' silences, the way coming out felt like dropping a stone into a still pond, ripples that never quite reached them. "They love you, Marley," she'd say, her hand brushing mine. "But love without questions is just habit." In her I found the questions I'd been starving for. What if love was a verb, fierce and unscripted? It built slowly, that pull between us, like the tide creeping up the Triana banks. A shared laugh over burnt churros turned into lingering glances, her knee against mine under cafe tables. One night, after a street festival where we danced until our feet blistered, her in a borrowed flamenco skirt, me twirling like a fool, the rain caught us on the walk back to the villa. We ducked into the side porch, laughing, soaked, and then she was there, closer than breath, her eyes searching mine in the dim glow of the lantern. "Marley," she whispered, and it was a plea, a promise. Our lips met, tentative at first, then deepening with the hunger of things long denied. Her hands framed my face, thumbs tracing my jaw, and for a heartbeat Seville faded, the rain, the river, the world. Until the door creaked. Aunt Elena froze in the threshold, her raincoat shedding puddles like tears. The umbrella clattered to the tiles, a hollow echo that yanked us apart. Valeria stumbled back, cheeks flaming, while I stood there, lips swollen, heart slamming against my ribs like a caged bird. "Tia," I stammered, the Spanish word tasting foreign on my tongue. Elena's eyes, those sharp hazel ones that missed nothing, flicked between us, widening not in shock exactly, but in something deeper, recognition laced with sorrow. "Marley," she said finally, her voice steady but soft, like she was coaxing a skittish horse. "Inside. Both of you." Valeria murmured excuses, grabbing her bag, but Elena's hand on her arm stopped her cold. "No, mija. Stay. This villa has seen worse storms." We trailed her into the kitchen, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and simmering paella from dinner. Elena poured 3 glasses of Tinto de Verano wine and lemonade, her go-to for fragile moments, without a word. Valeria perched on a stool, twisting her rings, her usual fire dimmed to embers. I stared at my hands, the freckles standing out like accusations under the harsh bulb light. "I walked in on my own sister once," Elena began, sliding the glasses across the scarred oak table. Her voice was low, confiding, the kind that pulled you in despite yourself. Your mother, Marley, and that boy from the mill. They were entangled in the barn. I was 14, full of righteous fire. Told her she'd burn for it. She chuckled, but it was hollow, chasing ghosts. She didn't speak to me for months. And I carried that secret like a stone in my shoe. Valeria's head snapped up, surprise softening her edges. You never said. Elena shrugged, her silver bracelets jingling. Family secrets are like olive pits. Swallow one and it lodges deep. But yours, girls. It's not sin. It's life. She fixed me with that ant gaze, the one that saw through to the marrow. Your parents sent you here to find yourself, Marley. Not to hide. I swallowed hard, the wine tart on my tongue. They don't know about this. The word hung vague but loaded. Valeria's hand found mine under the table, a quiet anchor. Elena's nod was slow, weighted. Then we'll give them time. But no more shadows in my house. Love like that. It deserves the light. For a week, the villa hummed with an uneasy truce. Valeria came for dinners, her laughter coaxing Elena into stories of Seville's underground queer scene in the 80s. Hidden bars in the Barrio Santa Cruz, where Franco's ghost still loomed. I sketched them both. Elena's lined face alive with mischief, Valeria's profile sharp against the sunset, her hair a cascade of midnight. Mornings we'd steal moments in the vineyard, her fingers weaving through mine as we plucked grapes, the juice staining our skin like shared secrets. This is real, isn't it? I'd whisper and she'd pull me close, her forehead to mine. More real than the rain, mi amor. But cracks spiderweb beneath the surface. Elena watched us with a tenderness that bordered on fierce protectiveness, her own losses bleeding into every glance. One evening, as thunder rumbled over the Sierra Morena, she pulled me aside in the herb garden, rosemary sharp under our feet. Valeria's got fire, Marley. But fire burns out if you don't feed it truth. Her words landed like stones, stirring the silt I'd ignored. My parents' impending visit, the visa clock ticking down to August, the way Valeria's eyes shadowed when I dodged calls from home. The betrayal came quietly, a whisper in the wind. I'd left my phone on the kitchen counter during a market run, screen lighting up with a text from Mom. Can't wait to see you, sweetie. And meet this friend Elena mentioned. My stomach dropped. Elena, with her well-meaning meddling, had let slip to my mother about Valeria, framing it as a wonderful girl helping with the vineyard. But enough to spark questions. When I confronted her, steam rising from the kettle like my temper, she didn't flinch. I called to check in, Marley. Your mother asked about your days. What was I supposed to say? That you're mooning over a waitress while dodging your future. Her eyes flashed, defensive. You're not a child anymore. This isn't a vacation fling. It's your heart on the line. Without telling me? My voice cracked raw. Valeria, overhearing from the doorway, went still, her face paling as the pieces clicked. Betrayal not just from Elena but rippling outward, to my family, to the fragile world we'd built. That night, the storm broke fully. Valeria packed a bag in silence, her movements clipped, the balcony our sanctuary now a battlefield of unsaid words. You said this was ours, she hurled, tears carving tracks down her cheeks. But your aunt, your family, they pull the strings, don't they? Always the good American girl, Marley. It's not like that. I grabbed her wrist, desperate, the rain lashing the windows like judgment. Elena's just scared. For me. For us. She yanked free, eyes blazing. Scared? Or ashamed? Like my brother was before he left. Promises of love. Then the world reminds you. You're the exception, not the rule. Her voice dropped to a whisper, gutting me. I can't be your secret, Marley. Not when it tastes like lies. She left at dawn, the door clicking shut like a final punctuation. I crumpled on the bed, the sheets still scented with her. Jasmine and citrus, a ghost I couldn't shake. Elena found me there, hours later, her hand heavy on my shoulder. I thought I was saving you, she murmured, voice thick. But all I did was build walls. The days blurred into a gray haze, Seville's vibrancy mocking my monochrome world. I wandered the markets alone, oranges mocking me from stalls, their vendors wave a knife twist. Elena tried, pans clanging louder, stories longer, but the villa felt hollow, echoes of laughter turned to accusations. My parents arrived a week later, all Midwestern cheer and suitcases stuffed with peanut butter, oblivious to the wreckage. Mom hugged me tight, her perfume cloying. You look peaked, honey. Everything all right? I forced a smile, the lie bitter. Just the heat. Dad clapped my back, launching into tales of the vineyard tour Elena had arranged, but my eyes kept drifting to the river, where barges glided like indifferent spectators. The climax unraveled on the fourth night, during a family dinner under the arbor, lanterns swaying, paella steaming, the air thick with unspoken tensions. Elena had outdone herself, the table groaning under tapas and torrijas, but her smiles were brittle, her glances apologetic. My parents chattered about the Alcazar, the bullfights they'd skipped, too barbaric. But Mom's eyes sharpened over dessert, pinning me. Elena says you've made a friend here. Valeria, was it? Invite her tomorrow, we'd love to meet her. The fork slipped from my fingers, clattering like a gunshot. Elena's face drained, realization dawning. Dad frowned mid-sip. Problem, kiddo? Words jammed in my throat, a dam of fear and fury. But then, unbidden, Valeria's voice echoed in my head. Love without questions is just habit. I straightened, heart pounding, the rain starting again in soft patters. Valeria's more than a friend, I said, the words tumbling out raw and unpolished. She's everything. And Aunt Elena tried to protect me by meddling, but it broke us. Because I let it. Because I was scared of this, of you. Silence crashed down, heavier than the storm. Mom's hand flew to her mouth, eyes wide. Not horror, but something softer, sadder. Dad set his glass down carefully, like it might shatter. Elena stared at her plate, tears glistening on her lashes. Marley, Mom whispered finally, reaching across the table. Her fingers trembled, but they closed over mine, warm and real. We knew, honey. About you. We've always known. We just didn't know how to say it right. Dad nodded, gruff. Thought Spain would give you space. Not that we'd push you away. The dam broke then, not in sobs but in truth spilling forth. Elena confessed her own regrets. The painter who'd left because she couldn't chase him to Paris, the years of silence after her divorce, the way she'd seen her own unspoken loves in me and overcorrected with control. I betrayed you both, she admitted, voice cracking, because I couldn't bear you losing what I did. I slipped out after, the rain a cool veil on my skin as I ran to Valeria's apartment, the streets slick and alive with distant guitar strains. Her door opened on the second knock, her face shadowed, wary. Marley? What? I didn't let her finish. I'm sorry, I rushed, words a torrent. For the secrets, for letting fear win. My family knows now, really knows. And Elena. She sees it too. We're messy, all of us, but I choose you. Every ripple, every question. She searched my face, rain mingling with the tears on her cheeks, then pulled me inside, her embrace fierce, forgiving. Then ask me, she whispered against my neck. Every day. The summer stretched on, not in perfection, but in the humanistic grit of mending. My parents met Valeria over churros the next morning, awkward laughs masking the thaw, Mom asking about her designs, Dad fumbling compliments on her Spanish, as if his wasn't the accent. Elena joined us at the river that evening, her arm linked with mine, the four of us, then five with Valeria's hand in my other, watching the sunset bleed orange into the water. No grand gestures, no fairy tale bows. Just quiet steps forward, the kind that scar and heal in equal measure. By August, as I packed for Berkeley, the villa no longer felt like exile. Valeria promised weekends in California, her sketches already mapping our shared life. Lines curving like the Guadalquivir, bold and unbroken. Elena waved us off at the station, her eyes bright. Write your truths, Marley. And bring her back soon. On the train rattling north, Valeria's head on my shoulder, I opened my notebook. The first line. In the rain that night we drowned and resurfaced. Not an ending but a beginning, human, flawed and utterly ours. The autumn after Seville pulled me back to Berkeley like a reluctant tide. The bay fog rolling in thick as unresolved longing. Campus thrummed with freshman chaos. Leaflets for protests, coffee lines snaking like rivers, but my world had shrunk to video calls at midnight. Valeria's face pixelated but luminous on the screen. Miss your chaos, she'd say, holding up a sketch of the Triana Bridge, our bridge, with stick figure us leaning over the rail. I'd laugh, but it ached, the distance a dull throb under my ribs. Classes blurred. Creative writing with Professor Hale, who droned on about Hemingway's icebergs, subtext lurking beneath the surface. I turned in a piece about the rain kiss veiled as fiction, and he marked it with a red-inked vulnerable. Push deeper. Vulnerable. The word haunted me, echoing Elena's warnings. Deeper meant exposing the fractures, not just the romance, but the betrayals that had nearly sunk us. Valeria thrived in her absence, her Instagram a gallery of bold commissions. Murals for queer youth centers in Malaga, posters for Pride in Córdoba. Come see, she'd text, and I'd ache to book a flight, but student loans loomed like storm clouds, and my parents' support came with strings, weekly check-ins, subtle nudges toward practical majors. Writing's fine as a hobby, Marley, Dad had said over Thanksgiving Zoom, turkey dry on his plate. But think about law. Stable. Mom softer had evolved since Spain. She'd sent Valeria a care package, Ohio Buckeyes and a handwritten note. For the girl who captured my daughter's heart. Welcome. It was progress, tentative as a first step on ice but real. Still, the old habits lingered, her questions about settling down. As if love had an expiration like milk. Elena too had shifted. Her emails arrived like lifelines, long looping missives about villa renovations, a new chef for the guest house, and tucked in always a postscript. Tell Valeria the oranges are ripening. And you, me, Sabrina. Don't let the fog swallow your fire. She'd started a book club, all expat widows and local artists, dissecting Audre Lorde and Elena Ferrante. For the women who loved fiercely and paid for it, she wrote. I saw her hand in it, atoning through stories. Winter break lured me back to Seville. The plane dipping through clouds like a stone skipped across the Atlantic. Valeria met me at the airport, her hair loose, a sign reading me escritor rebelled, in looping script. We collided in a hug that drew stares, unabashed, alive. The drive to Triana was a blur of her hand on my thigh. Radio crooning Rosalia. The city unfolding like a love letter. Minarets piercing the dusk, street cats weaving underfoot. The villa welcomed us with garlands of lights, Elena's doing. A Hanukkah Christmas mishmash for her international family. Dinner was a feast. Jamon carved thin as whispers, gambas al ajillo sizzling, and Valeria's contribution. A tarta de Santiago dusted with powdered sugar like fresh snow. Elena raised her glass, eyes twinkling. To awkward incidents that birth miracles. We clinked, laughter bubbling, but under the table Valeria's foot hooked mine. A secret code. Later, as Elena cleared plates, humming off-key, Valeria pulled me to the balcony. The river glittered below, bridges strung with lights like veins pulsing. I sold a series, she murmured, breath warm on my ear. To a gallery in Barcelona. Means weekends away but together. My heart swelled but doubt nipped at the edges. And if I can't come? The thesis, the loans. She turned me to face her, hands cupping my cheeks. Then we bridge it, Marley. Like this. Her kiss was slow, grounding, tasting of almonds and promise. In that moment Seville felt infinite. But infinity has fault lines. The conflict reignited mid-January, a spark from across the ocean. I'd submitted a story to the Atlantic. My Spain piece expanded, raw with the ant's intrusion, the sting of partial truths. It landed, a miracle in slush-pile hell, but the editor's notes gutted me. Lean into the betrayal. Make the ant's flaw human, not villainous. I rewrote feverishly, Elena morphing from meddler to mirror, her own closet doors creaking open on the page. Valeria read the draft over a glitchy call, her silence stretching. It's beautiful, she said finally, but her voice was tight. But you made me the tragic muse. The girl who runs then returns. I blinked, thrown. It's fiction. Is it? She leaned closer to the camera, eyes stormy. Every time you write us, it's through your lens. America saves the day, Spain's the exotic backdrop. What about my lens? The one where your aunt's help felt like chains, not love. The call ended in static, her face vanishing like smoke. I paced my dorm, the fog pressing against the window like judgment. Was she right? My words, meant to honor, had colonized, turning her fire into footnotes, our love into a narrative arc for my catharsis. Panic drove me to book a red-eye, landing in Seville at dawn, jet-lagged and desperate. Valeria's door yielded after 3 knocks, her eyes puffy, sketchpad abandoned on the table, half-finished portraits of us, strokes angry and thick. You flew. she whispered, surprise cracking her armor. Couldn't breathe without you. I stepped inside the apartment, a cocoon of canvases and coffee stains. We sank to the rug, her head on my lap, and I confessed. The editor's scalpel, my fear of losing the happy in our ending. You're not a muse, Val. You're the whole damn story. I don't know how to tell it without breaking. She sat up, tracing my knuckles. Then we tell it together. My words, your ink. Tears welled, but she smiled fierce. No more solo bridges. Elena arrived unannounced that afternoon, bearing empanadas and a bottle of manzanilla. She'd seen my frantic texts, pieced the puzzle. Artists, she sighed, settling on the sagging couch. Bleed for beauty, then stab each other with the brush. Over sherry we unpacked it, her betrayal reframed as echo, my writing as wound dressing. I read your piece, Marley, she admitted, cheeks flushing. The ant. She's me. Foolish, loving, terrified. Thank you for the mercy. Valeria squeezed my hand, her touch a vow. And me? The lover who stays, not flees. The healing deepened in fits and starts. We co-wrote a companion piece for a local lit mag. Her illustrations bleeding into my prose, dual perspectives weaving like lovers' fingers. The ant became Elena, a composite, flawed guardian, not gatekeeper. Submissions flew to queer journals, rejection stinging but bonds tightening. Spring bloomed with tentative triumphs. My parents visited in April, Mom armed with a rainbow scarf, for the next Pride. Dad grumbling good-naturedly about the heat but beaming at Valeria's gallery show. Elena hosted a reading in the villa courtyard. Lanterns swaying, neighbors spilling onto the tiles, poets reciting, Valeria unveiling panels of us. Rain-slicked embraces, river walks, the awkward door swing immortalized in charcoal smudges. Climax crested on a sweltering June night, Feria Redux. We'd rented a casetta, polka-dot curtains fluttering, the air electric with anticipation. Valeria, in a ruffled tragigitano that hugged her curves like a second skin, pulled me onto the dance floor. Fiddles wailed, castanets clicked, and we spun, her laughter free, my steps surer. But midway, Elena appeared at the edge, face ashen, clutching a letter. Your visa, she said, thrusting it at me. Overstay notice, bureaucratic betrayal, the Spanish government's indifferent stamp. They flagged your comings and goings. If you leave now, re-entry's denied for a year. The music warped, the crowd a blur. Valeria's hand tightened in mine, panic flashing. We'll fight it, she hissed, but her voice wavered. Barcelona gig looming, her own dreams tethered to this soil. Elena stepped forward, eyes steely. No. My lawyer's on it. Pro bono for the guest house clients. But Marley. You decide. Stay and risk or go and rebuild. The choice clawed at me. Love's immediacy versus future's promise. The dance floor emptied around us, stares prickling, but Valeria pulled me close, forehead to forehead. Whatever you choose, I'm in it. But don't choose alone. Dawn found us on the riverbank, Elena's sherry bottle half empty, plans sketched in the sand. Appeal forms, hybrid classes, Valeria's remote designs, logistics as love language. It's not betrayal, Elena murmured, arm around us both. It's the storm that forges. By summer's end, the appeal won, narrowly, humanely. I deferred a semester, the villa my studio, our story unfolding in ink and line. No tidy bows but a tapestry. Threads of conflict woven into resilience. Betrayal's sting softened by forgiveness. Fall 2026 draped Seville in amber veils, the leaves crunching underfoot like whispered confessions as I settled into the villa's attic studio. Elena's gift. A slanted ceiling haven with a skylight framing the stars. Valeria and I had carved it ours. Her drafting table by the dormer, my desk piled with manuscripts. A shared easel where we'd collaborate until the wee hours, her bold strokes tempering my looping script. The awkward incident of that rainy night felt like ancient history now. A scar faded to silver, but it lingered in the way we moved, deliberate, grateful, always checking the door before a kiss. Life's drama didn't relent, though. It evolved, humanistic in its quiet cruelties. My novel draft ballooned, a lesbian odyssey through Andalusian heat and American chill, drawing from our fractures. Agents nibbled but rejections piled like autumn gusts. Too niche. Broad in the appeal. Valeria, ever the firebrand, mocked them over tapas. They want rainbows without the rain. Screw that, ours is the storm they need. Elena's guesthouse thrived too, rebranded as a queer artist retreat. Weekends of workshops, where expats and locals mingled, sharing stories under the arbor. She dated sporadically, a potter from Cordoba with laugh lines and steady hands, her blushes a victory. At my age, she'd quip. Love's like good wine, better with time and a twist of cork. My parents' visits became ritual. Mom's scrapbooks of our adventures. Dad's botched attempts at paella. Their acceptance deepening into alliance. We're proud, Marley, Mom said one crisp November afternoon. As we strolled the Maria Luisa Park, peacocks fanning tails like forgotten fans. Not just of the writing but you brave whole. It landed soft, mending the old riffs, but I caught the undercurrent. Their own regrets, the silences they'd imposed on Elena decades back. Valeria's betrayal scar resurfaced subtly, in late-night doubts. Her Barcelona series sold out, catapulting her to a Madrid showcase. But the spotlight unearthed ghosts, her brother's shadow, the family's fractured legacy. What if success pulls me away? She'd murmur, curled against me in the attic, the rivers murmur a lullaby. Like he did. I'd trace her spine, mapping constellations. Then we go together. Or I anchor here. Love's not a tether, it's a map. The true climax brewed in winter's chill. A convergence of ambitions and aches. I'd landed a fellowship, 6 months in New York, pitching the novel to editors, a dream laced with dread. Valeria's invite followed. Co-curated a queer art-lit exhibit in Lisbon, her designs fused with my excerpts. Timelines clashed like thunderheads, me east, her south, stretching our thread taut. Elena sensed the storm first, over Christmas pozole, steam curling like omens. Don't let opportunity be the thief, she warned, her hazel eyes piercing. I did with your uncle. Chase stability lost the spark. Valeria bristled, fork pausing. And your help last year? That was stability too, right? Nearly cost us everything. The table tensed, old wounds reopening. I intervened, voice steady. Enough. We're not replaying the rain. This time we choose forward. But forward fractured in the new year. Lisbon beckoned, but a gallery snag. Funding yanked by conservative donors left Valeria reeling, her confidence cracked. They called it provocative. She spat over the phone, voice raw from Madrid's cold. Code for us. Always the exception. I flew to her that night, the exhibit a salvage op. Stripped down, intimate, in a tiny Alfama gallery. We hung panels till dawn. My words etched on canvas, her illustrations bleeding color into narrative. Opening night hummed. Candlelight flickering on faces hungry for stories like ours, applause rippling like the Tagus. But midway, as I read the betrayal scene, Elena's door swing, the wine confessions, Valeria slipped out, face ashen. I found her on the quay, wind whipping her coat, tears freezing on her lashes. It's too much, she choked. Reliving it for strangers. For praise. What if they see the weakness, not the strength? I pulled her close, the river's salt mingling with ours. They see us flawed, fighting, loving anyway. That's the point, Val. Not perfection. Humanity. She clung, sobs muffled in my scarf. Promise me when you're in New York. We don't fade. Never, I vowed, the city lights blurring. You're my compass. Elena wired funds the next day, gleaned from retreat bookings, stringing the exhibit through spring. Pay it forward, she texted. No meddling, just quiet bolstering. Back in Seville we rebuilt. Therapy sessions in a sunlit office, her for family ghosts, me for imposter whispers. Joint readings at the villa. Crowds swelling, laughter, questions, connections sparking like fireflies. Summer sealed the shifts. My New York fellowship started in July, but we carved a rhythm. Bi-weekly flights, her crashing my tiny Brooklyn walk-up, sketches papering the walls. Editors warmed to the manuscript, one calling it a tender gut punch. Love's awkward alchemy. Publication whispers hummed, but the real victory was mundane. Mom and Elena video calling over recipes. Dad shipping Valeria Ohio corn for paella experiments. The ending unfolded not in grand tragedy or unalloyed joy, but in the humanistic weave, threads of loss and light entwined. One August evening, post-reading in Seville's Plaza de España, bridges arched like promises, we sat on a bench, her head on my shoulder. Elena joined, arm linked with Mom's via speakerphone, voices overlapping in a chorus of plans. A joint artist tour, stateside and Iberian. From that worst moment, Valeria murmured, fingers laced with mine, to this. Who knew awkward could be alchemy? I kissed her temple, the sunset gilding us gold. We did. Deep down. Elena chuckled, raising an imaginary glass. To incidents that alter, gently, fiercely, forever. And so the story didn't close, it breathed, ongoing as the river. Carrying us through betrayals mended, loves deepened, lives humanly, beautifully entwined.